Thanks for your time.
No worries, mate. Yeah. How's things, Rowie?
Oh, look, damn good, because the Crows won by 105 and they're 7th on the ladder. And, you know, when Adelaide's going well, you know the Crows are going well. And Port Adelaide, for that matter.
Oh, come on, you got to mention them. You just, that was just a byline about Port.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you got me. You know Nick, you know me too well.
I know him too well.
Hey, you know what? We love our stars, and I'm so glad Chris Judd has changed his mind and decided to play on. Mick, just give us a bit of intel on that.
I just, as I said to Juddy, look, I will talk you into retirement, not out of retirement. And I've done that over a period of 30 years of coaching. There are so many players that have come to me and said, well, what do you think? And I'll go, no, it's all over. You've got to go because you've got a little bit left, but it won't last you the season. Very rarely do I have players that I say to, you know what, you've got a couple of years or you've got a year left. I've done that. I can name two at least. Jimmy Clement, no doubt. Andrew Purser. And there's no question in my mind that Chris Judd is another one that had more than a year's worth left. He may have two, but we'll take one at a time. And I expressed that to him, but I said, Jody, one thing I'll never do is talk someone out, because what I don't want is someone with is wrestling with the idea of retirement and then has a bad day or a bad year or a bad month or a bad game and goes, oh, you know, it's wet and it's cold, I'm injured, why am I doing this? And you talked me into it. So I don't talk players into that. But the more I spoke to him, the more I think he comes to the conclusion that, look, he is playing good football. He's had an interrupted 2014. We're on the right track. He believes firmly that we're going somewhere, and I'm delighted.
Hey, I like that philosophy, Mick, and I also like this one. When Ken Hinkley first got the job at Port, his first quote on Port's senior players was this: I'm here to enhance your career, not end it. And he talked of the Dom Cassisis, didn't he, Bone, and the Kane Corns? And I really did like that philosophy as well, Mick.
Yeah, well, every player you get, I've used the thing I've always spoken to my coaches about is that the last player picked, you're going to make the number one player. So, in other words, what I'm saying is do not ignore the last rookie that you have on the list. Make him the best player. Now, sometimes it took me a long time to think that what I said was really an untruth until Dean Cox become one of the best, if not the best, Eagle player in a certain period of time at the West Coast. Not that I had him, but watching from a distance. And Sandsman's become so influential at Fremantle, and yet they were probably, well, I know they were rookies, and they were picked late. So I just undertook that, or put them like Irishman. They don't know a lot about the game, so just go for it. And you never know what you come out with. You know, Nick Maxwell was a rookie, overlooked umpteen times. He ended up captaining a premiership side. I'd say Goodwin was the same at Adelaide. Kirk's the same at Sydney. The list goes on and goes on. Never ignore a player because you never know what you've got.
Mick, why did Juddy change his mind? What's he seeing, I guess, and you'll be able to tell us. I mean, he's changed his mind. He's decided to retire. He thinks it's enough. A little bit of form. It seems like an interesting way to change his mind. What's he seeing that we don't know that he's liking to make him stay?
Well, I'd like to think you do know. I'd like to think that you'd see Carlton with a different mindset, a different way we're playing. I think it'd be fair to say that, look, I'm not here to go back too far. I think sometimes I think that you'd end up looking like you're blaming other people, but you know, the club that I took over really was devoid of a lot of confidence. So I know, you know, they were in and out of the finals and this sort of stuff, but let's face it, it doesn't count unless you finish in top four. Because realistically, the only side I think that I can remember is Adelaide that's actually won from outside the top four. So, you know, put it in perspective, we're all over the shop and taking the side over, I'm trying to develop a game plan, and it really was hard work. It was very hard work because I don't think the players really grasped the magnitude of the efforts required. And then we changed it around and they grabbed a little bit more of it. But by and large, the players were really, well, in Chris Judd's mind and words to me, were he now sees, after a number of years being at the club, that we are heading in a direction that he feels very confident that the club is going to have some impact on the ladder next year, and he wants to be part of it. So I think we'll leave it at that, and that means we're not then sort of regurgitating something that took place years ago.
Cool, that's fine. Can I ask you then how he balances that, and you yourself, how you balance that with, I guess you've had some player issues, individual player issues, and, you know, Garlett, Mark Robinson in recent times. How you balance that, the negative with the positive of Chris Judd, and how he balances and comes to term with some player issues and his decision to stay on?
But I think that's probably the catalyst that actually drove him into this decision, because I think that he looked at that and said, look, this is the way the club should handle those sort of things, not pussyfoot around with it.
Yep.
Be strong, be direct, have an opinion, and go with what the disciplines that we've put in place,
right, yep.
and what we intend to be able to do as a club going forward. So I think he's looked at the whole picture and said, right, this makes sense. But I think he feels good about himself as well. Let's not forget that this is also, he's got to feel good.
Yep.
He's got to think that he can contribute. I think the bloke, like top players in any club, they want to feel as if they can still contribute at a level that retains their prestige. And this is not about massive over-pride. This is about just his own pride within himself. That I don't think Chris would, at any stretch of imagination, put his hand up to play if he didn't think he could play good football. Because it's certainly not a matter of getting out there and having another contract, no matter what the figure is, or the kudos, or the number of games. It means very little to him. He is first and foremost, he's a very interesting individual. First and foremost, it is about the team and him contributing to the team and having some future in the competition. So in other words, us having some impact. And those three combined have been, he sees those as all positives, which we're delighted in. I mean, it's unsolicited stuff. It's not that we have to drive it down his throat to say, look, Johnny, this is where we're at. No, he's actually seeing that and believes in it. So I'm delighted in that, because I think it's reinforcement of where we're heading as a football club.
Absolutely.
I don't want to drag over hot coals because it's just raw still, but Mitch Robinson, was it the act or the hiding it?
Oh, certainly the hiding it didn't do any favours whatsoever, really. And the method of doing that was extraordinary. So I think that you'll find that's it's not acceptable, and under the circumstances, we've made the appropriate decision. So Mitch has come to grips with that and has publicly apologised to the club and the supporters and also his teammates. So I think he's, one doesn't understand why some of those things happen. Sometimes it's embarrassment, just doesn't want to be seen to be breaking club's rules or causing angst among supporters and players in the club. And they take an action that is sometimes very quick without thinking about the consequences. So I'm not here to hold him to account. I think, I'm a patron of an organisation over here that gives people second chances, and you don't penalise the same incident twice. Once he's penalised, you get on with it and you try to help that individual become a better person and a good footballer in this case. So, we're going, we'll be doing that with every one of our players who may have transgressed through over a 30-year period of my coaching.
And the big thing about that moving forward is to get trust back from the coaching group, the playing group and the leadership group. Some can, some can't. And they'll lie in their own bed with that, won't they, Mick?
Oh, yes. There's, I'm not saying that, once all these things take place that there's going to be redemption, because that sometimes doesn't happen. And it's the same with, as I say, the organisation I'm with, which is a YMCA a project that we call the Bridge Project. But, some kids will take it on board and some will reoffend and reoffend and reoffend. They just don't get it. And so at some stage you do lose patience, particularly not necessarily the organisation I was talking about, but certainly at the football level, there comes a time when you say, look, you've run out of opportunities and we've got to move on, because we're an elite. We're playing an elite competition. This is the AFL. This is the Australia's own competition. It's a great competition. It's elite. You want people to be elite in their thinking, in their professionalism. If they can't measure up, you know what? There's a lot of people that say, I wish I had it and I could have and all sorts of stuff. But you know what? They never make it.
Yeah.
Hey, Mick, I was thumbing through the Carlton website today, had a fascinating read. A gentleman's name popped up. I've never heard it before. Hopefully he can fill it in for us. Nando Parado was his name, plane crash survivor in 1972, part of the Uruguayan, rugby team, which crashed in the Andes Mountain. He spoke to the club, to the team. It's a remarkable, remarkable story.
Yeah, well, he only spoke to some people, members of the team. He spoke to the team 2 years ago. It's a massive cost to get these people over. Luckily, we've got some very good supporters and also companies that were prepared to put the money in and also, obviously maximise it with their own staff.
Yeah.
Just very, very briefly, it was a Uruguayan rugby side that were going to play. They were all 18, 19. I think the average age was 19 of the players. And they were all going to go and play in Chile, and the pilot took a wrong turn, ended up in the Andes, crashed. Many search parties were sent out, basically in the air, couldn't find it. It was a white plane on a white background. No one survives those flights, nearly 6,000 metres. And 72 days later, he and a mate stumbled through for an 8-day walk, turned into an 8-hour walk turned into 80 hours or whatever it was. 8 Ks was 80 Ks, and they walked with gear. I've climbed, and I know what it's like at 4,000 metres. He climbed in summer gear without food for 6 of those 8 days or thereabouts, and it was just remarkable that, there was cannibalism. The only way they can survive, so they had to take drastic steps to survive. He'd had a smashed skull. The most interesting thing to me was I've read his book, but this didn't come out. That when the plane hit a mountain, the back half from 10 back folded out and flew off into never. Everyone died. The 9th seat forward, he was in the 9th seat, cannoned over this mountain, landed on its nose, killed the pilots. They looked at him and said, no, he's dead. He had a smashed skull on the side near his ear. The only thing that saved him was what they do today is they freeze the brain. He actually landed in the snow and the snow went all over his head. And 4 days later he woke from his coma in a position where he'd seen his mother die and his sister die in his arms. So, but he said, and this is the remarkable thing about it, if we stay here, we're going to die. We're going to die from inside. I'm definitely going to move on. As soon as the thaw took place, so they waited until December, he said, I'm off. I'm going. And 2 went with him. 1 came back very quickly. And the other bloke, they went 80 Ks down this river. They took the right turn every time on luck and made it. But his fitness alone got him survived. All those people survived that were left. Many died, of course. The bodies they hit with an unbelievable avalanche, went right through the plane. 8, I think, actually died in the avalanche where they were buried under the snow inside the plane. It was a remarkable story. I've read the book and expected greatness. I got twofold. It was fantastic.
So, Mick, we got about 20 texts just come through. What's the name of the book?
The book is called Alive, A Miracle in the Andes.
Honestly, what a story!
Isn't it incredible?
Look. I would recommend this to anyone who wants inspiration.
Wow.
And looking for hope, because without hope you got hopelessness. They had hopelessness written all over them, and he decided this is not going to happen. I'm going to go and I'm getting out of here. It is just a brilliant story that I've just given a book to each of my children. My youngest is 30 now, and I've said to them, read this book and find out what it's like to work through a challenge that is life-threatening. And
done.
It's just brilliant.
I am going to go out, Bone, to Robinson Leo Burnett, whatever it is, the news agency around the corner, and I'm going to buy that book, The Miracle in the Andes.
Yep.
Uncle Mick just told me to buy it.
Miracle in the Andes.
Done.
Yeah.
Hey, moving back to footy, Mick, and that is a part of footy. Players who duck into a contest. Scary incident with Tommy Lynch, our boy over here. Yeah. What's your thoughts on it? And how do we penalise it, if at all? And can you coach that out of a player?
Well, you have to coach it out of a player, because I'm dead set against it. Look, this is I've watched we've got a young player playing with us. He's not young, he's 25. He's been around the system for a long time. We've made him, I think we've given him a great opportunity to play league football. He's taken it. He started with a few league games last year. He wasn't a regular. He ducked his last game in the seconds, went into a bloke and broke bones in his neck and he was in a brace for months. And we only got him back in January. He's played basically every game this year, and that's Simon White. Now, Simon, because it's one of those things it's not lack of courage, because he's a very, very tough player, and Lynch is the same. It's lack of sometimes methodology. He picks it up, he's going to get in front and see what he puts his head down and bangs into the bloke's stomach. And look, you don't need to hit someone's hip, and that's the end of your neck. So we've got to train people out of it, and we've got to free kick players that do it. Or don't give them a free kick. One or the other. I would say if you take the player on in front of you and you put your head into someone else's lap, I think the only best way out of it is to teach players, is to hound them and say, right, that's a free kick.
You'd penalise them?
I'd penalise them, not because I know that they're trying to cheat or they're trying to get a cheap free kicks. They've got to learn that this is drastic. We don't want players with neck or head injuries from this. And I think most of them are incurred by a system that sometimes reward a player who hits the charges through his head. We've got to get that out of the game. I fear the players. And Lynch, he was moving his hands and his legs, so you thought, well, he's not too bad, but nonetheless, Simon White was he got taken off, sat on the bench, and was twisting his neck around because he felt stiff in the neck. He only needed to move it at a certain angle, and that neck, that's where it was. That's scary. He had broken bones in his neck.
Man. Hey, Mick, we spoke with Triggy earlier today. He starts as Carlton CEO on Monday. He is so excited about the challenge. He wanted me to ask you, because we told him we've got you on at 5:30. Is his office bigger than yours?
No, let me tell you, if he's going to take Greg Swan's office, it's big enough to put the whole lot of us in there. We can have the Christmas party in there.
Oh, good stuff. Mick, as always, absolutely brilliant. I'm going to do that. I'm going to buy that damn book, Miracle in the Andes. Mate, and a great win on the weekend. You guys are really playing with some spirit. All the best this weekend, and look forward to the chat on next Tuesday.
Thanks, Rowie. Thanks, Bone.